Hey, what's up, though? How you do that? I just popped in for the beat of bullshit, and I was trying to get away from the bullshit because I was watching a little bit of the YouTube and the old school and talking about the fly stuff, the fire players, this and that. I was like, man, maybe I need to stay me away from that serious stuff, and then they talk about the playoffs stuff and they stay fly and stuff like that. So I took it down, I took it off. I have been rocking me, you know what I'm saying? Some of the old shirts, the right time like that. So, I still got it out, but then I was just rocking me the little simple chain like that, right? You know, so you get back on a little, just a simple like that, because sometimes simple better than, and then they pull out the stop, and I get up on the bus, and they pull out the stops on the bus, and then back to the bullshit, boy, they get your boy out there. I just try to chop it. All I'm trying to do, pass me a little shots, touch me the AUV, you know what I'm saying, the little army. Ooh, that's why I feel so black, because, you know, sometimes I like to sing to myself, like, you know what I'm saying, because like, you see a master know everybody know you see, because you gotta be all the time, but it ain't all the time, and you never know when it's scene day about to pull up on you and then bust the shoulder and they say, what you got your chops, boy? You ain't got the chops, boy, because you ain't been practicing, boy. So I practice all the time, you know. But then I was practicing me a little SUV thing, and then the old lady said, I ended up tripping. It's kind of funny when you can't see somebody tripping with you. And the old lady, I said, I peek around the hood, the bus driver, the bus don't drive sudden, but they tripping around again and see around the corner. Guys, I ain't trying to see the driver. I let the driver do what they do. But the driver reaching about it, the driver can see me. The driver can see the road and can see me and give me a hard time. I didn't even know I had that loud though. Then came on me, and I have been practicing the very same chop that he always did. And he said, what was that chop? I was about to buzz out the chop, the whop, the chop, I was practicing the chop. And he said, hold up, I like, so the lady, because it had been a lady thing, now the lady trying to, she was talking, she getting back, I was still practicing, I said, I like it when you talk dirty. Because she said, hey, turn that shit up, hey, my boy, I need to turn that shit down, boy. I was like, I like it when you talking dirty. Can I get to my stop? I got so many things on my mind. I'm practicing to do our chops, but you give me a hard time. But I like it when you're talking dirty. Ooh, honey, ooh, he got me so high, I can't lie. Your love, your driving gets me. It's so bumpy. But when you do it, it's a little smooth. I like it when you're talking dirty. But there's another part he said in there. He said, I like it when you're talking dirty. Can we get tonight? So he says, but there's another part where he said, damn. There's a part where she said, but I like it when you're talking dirty. Can get tonight? Got so many things on my mind. Cause I'm your lady. It was once that she said something about a grown ass man in that song. It made me about to say, damn it, do also sound like a grown ass man trying to stop down the boy old nut. Can't get him. Damn man, this is kind of heavy, man. Can I get up on the bus with my old nutsack? Can I get on the bus with my old nutsack? You don't kick me in the nut, boy. I don't try to make the world better, but I always see the SUV thing. I do like it when you talk dirty. I'm only trying to do the SUV thing, and you trying to get up on that. I ain't saying I need a wheelbarrow now, but I'm saying I got this a little sexy bag there like that. We had been my boy up north and he gave me the old sexy bag like that. I gave him the blow pop. I give no new school. I'm so the old. I do like me the old school Diddy. No, I ain't gonna lie. I like y'all bogus. He trying to say that Diddy and Biggie Smalls wasn't on the player time like that. I can't run my mouth. I can't think of the chops back in the day. But you had the oh shit, hold up. So everybody's saying no, but here go that lawyer though. If it had to be a lawyer, but I say no, wrong is wrong. I can't argue wrong, but I can argue a little bit of swag. So we have to cut a deal now. Wrong is wrong. I don't know what's wrong, right? But as the deal go, I'm about to make a case for the swag. So the case for the swag had been, I like it. I know you heard me on the radio. True, I know you see me in the video. True, I know you see me on the YouTube. True, but you still don't pay me no attention. listening to what your girlfriends mentioned. He's a da 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 da. It's cool, and I'm trying to put a rush in, but I had to let you know that I got a crush on you. What do you got to say about that boy? That did all that did it. He had paid it and everything. So you did it now, but he had paid it, had it, did it like that. Da 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 da. I know you heard me on the radio. I know you said you on the radio. You don't pay no attention. You don't know what your girlfriend mentioned. It's good. I'm gonna run here, but I had to leave you. They got a crush on you. And I got a crush on you. Because I've been the cookie monster. The cookie monster. That boy bogus. But he did have some swag back there. And then he also had the one hold up. It's some real fly ass vibes talking about back in the day. Not even dun 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 dun. I think that's something about a stick up like that. And there's one now the first thing actually they did bogus is they put some of them like they used to have these sketches on the rap albums, and they put some kids on them sketches on the old Biggie Smalls, and I never thought that was fly even then when I was a damn kid, but. It'd be one of them. It start off with an answering machine like that. Oh, you stop calling my... And then it go. It's some fly ass. How was that song go? Damn, what's that song? Oh, you stop calling. It's like it's some real player ass vibes with the Biggie Smalls, and Diddy wasn't too far away from none of that if you think about it. And then it's this other song. So you had the show Everyday Struggle. But you also had the song Everyday Struggle before that. That's a hard ass song from Biggie Smalls, but you can't listen to that if you're up on hard times because it make you sad like that. But it's like if you listen to the song Everyday Struggle, dun 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 da 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 da. Da 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 da. Now I shouldn't have actually been able to relate to that shit because that's some like real grown ass man hard time stuff. But I could exactly relate to that as a kid, and my life never stopped being that song to the da 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 da. Da 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 da. And then you also you talk about the da, but you also had stuff on it had been that song honey, I know this is sitting on the corner all with the crew, all types of night, baby. You know that ain't nothing but trouble. I thought that you could be what you want to be. What's that song by Biggie Smalls? With the niggas used to brought me the milk sit lunch in the Sky's the Limit. Who got something to say about Sky's the Limit with Biggie Smalls and Everyday Struggle, Biggie Smalls, and what's the other one? He's a God every day is cool. Not trying to. That's some real time, and Diddy wasn't too far away from that, but I got on a sidetrack with that. But all I'm trying to say me is that that I was practicing the doo-wop chops like that, and then the lady was giving me a hard time like that, and they always trying to. But I want to say that that's actually what I wanted to talk about a little bit today. Is I was actually trying to stay. Also, you see, I'm doing more with I was trying to work on the moves and stuff like that to say anything the farther hell away from like the like direct messages explaining shit, because usually you're asking trouble when you're explaining shit. So here go this fool just pop up online and start explaining shit. But it had been I was just trying to get up and down the blow pop like that. So I've been rocking me the jacket with the blow pop jacket like that. And I got out of town, and my boy, sometimes when somebody say something, they mean it. It's not every day you see somebody say something, they mean it. One time I met me a fighter. I was at a gas station in the middle of the night last summer, and I met a real actual fighter out there. He was doing some crazy stuff with his leg, but I've been doing crazy stuff the whole summer like that. And I was like, do you actually know what you're doing right now? And he's like, yeah, man, we from Thailand over here, boy. And I was like, oh shit. And he wasn't disrespectful like that, but he was actually from Thailand. And he grew up the same way we grew up, like hooping and listening to Everyday Struggle and stuff like that. They would be growing up on the Muay Thai out there. And he was a real badass. He had his family with him, but he was still practicing his chops like that. and he was like he was telling me that when he said farewell to me, he said, "Hey, nice to meet you." But I never actually heard someone say "nice to meet you" and actually be congruent with that statement like that. It's not every day you hear someone say something and be exactly congruent with what they said. And so that was that time. And then I met an actual Viking descendant. That's where I get this the jean jacket. I met a Viking descendant, a Norse brother up in the northern area. And he said he appreciated my blow pop jacket because I was with some other people. They weren't trying to give me my flowers, but I actually bust out the blow pop jacket on themselves because I'm just being me with it. He's like, "God damn, fuck all these fakers, man. I like that jacket and shit." And so I was like, "Oh, this you, man." So I just gave it off, no shirt, no blow pop jacket off my back. I just gave it to him. He's like, "For real? Oh shit!" But he had actually been that real of a person. His backstory checks out even more than that. His backstory checks out harder than that Muay Thai fighter. If you know what that brother been through, that I met that, and so so I had some real growing. And the best thing is when people give things of themselves, that's good to go. That's real actual rock and roll. Like rock and roll, it ain't the fancy stuff, this and that. Rock and roll is what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine, as I'm my brother's keeper. And I hope my brother take care of me because my ass in trouble too if my brother ain't taking care of me. That's real rock and roll like that, and down the line like that. So as that goes, to give the man Diddy his props with the fly ass shit that they brought us back in the day. That's not even to talk about like some of the other bad boy acts and stuff like that, and some of the Mace cuts too. If you're being honest, a lot of people give Mace a hard time too, but he was with that lyrical time back in the day. Like, and even like I think like I don't mean to be just inserting my but I don't mean to be jumping on stuff that ain't my business, but even I think Mace used to be down with like people like Cameron. And sometimes I think Cameron back in the day, I remember like a little bit of comical references to Mace, but even as they were falling out, nobody ever took shots at Mace's lyricism. That was some hard, like he was laid back with it. Like he was laid back. Like he was like a smooth kind of guy, even with the rough lyrics like that. Mace back in the day. So like Diddy was around that stuff too, like to give the man his props. But you can tell boys coming home when people start giving you your flowers. It started with somebody coming home, but just to be in honesty, like a lot of people have been writing him. That'd be hard if the whole world writing for something. We all falter, but that's when it has to do with other people and like ladies and women. That's heavy, but we all falter. But people been writing him, but he brought us some dope looks and some real things to remember. I bet you I got up and down a lot of buses bumping that stuff, but I bet you people got some real experiences to go with that type of vibes that they were bringing us back in the day. So commendation and Game Recognized Gaming. Gotta give it credit where it's due with the type of lyrical time they gave us. So even the Diddy stuff wasn't all about the Diddy stuff back in the day. He had give some real vibes. Take it as you like, do with that as you will, is what he gave us. But I'm going too heavy on that. But all I'm saying, and I'm saying heavy, is that I'm lingering on it. So I gave the brother the blow pop jacket, and then he gave me that sexy ass bag like that. It's just a black bag, that leather backpack that's sexy for no damn reason. And I was actually, I'm not gonna lie, I've been thinking about getting some leather pants that let something show in the back with it. Maybe just one of them. Let it clap like that. I said that shit out my mouth. What the hell would you do if somebody walked down the street with some fly ass shit? I already got the Playboy jacket and shit. Had some leather pants and shit, and wasn't scared to let that shit all the way hang out as is legal and ethical to do so with the leather like that and the black leather backpack while we're at it and the shit like that. Because it takes somebody had the nerve to do something, had to do something for the first. Somebody ain't seen some shit that could also be some fly shit. Get a couple attention looking shit like that, as it's ethical, above board. We're all adults out here and grown and shit. Appropriate time and place for all things. But then I can't even get up and down a bus with the sexy backpack. I'm not saying need a wheelbarrow. Can't even get up on can't get out the back door, but not in the back like that. But then kick my dick like that. But they be tripping on the buses like that, especially. So what I'm saying is that I think that some things, without knowing it, some things are an actual conflict of interest, and when you don't know what the conflict is of interest, it'll just crop up a lot of really heinous nonsense like for no reason like that. So they get testy. Like I'm in the Twins. I already made a video on my channel earlier this summer, but I had yet another experience today, and they get testy like that. So someone watching this video, right? I don't know like what part of the region, what region of the country you're from, but say you're from the Midwest, say you're from where I'm from, Minnesota. How many times have you seen a black male be confronted on these buses? You've seen confrontation in public transit, but how many times have you seen a person of color, especially a male, be confronted and dismissed and mocked like a boy. How many times have you seen a grown man be buoyed and sunned by other lesser stature, lesser seasoned, or equal stature, equal seasoned people on a bus? It don't matter the circumstance. It just matters circumstance. It doesn't matter the circumstance. It just matters the actors there. And brother color like that, they're training for that stuff, right? You can't help but that, like just like the baby, that they spill that. So you're eating up all this training about minorities, this and that, black men. You can't help it. You look like a that. I think every time I use my that. So some things are a conflict of interest, and it just germinates and sprout like that. But I think that there's something about, if you imagine like Rosa Parks, right, back in the day, right? Can I ask for just Parks? I'll just be Parks. For this video, I'll say Parks. Imagine the smoke, right? That she's a lady now. I imagine that as bad as it was for Rosa Parks, it may have been even worse for a brother of color in Birmingham, if we're honest, because on a certain level, as not only human beings but beings, it's been said on high, on traditions of abroad the earth, is that no injury or harm is to be done to a female member. That's some deep pedigree to say something like that. I'm referring to India with that. But most traditions and people and walks of life and ethnicities and cultures the world over have respected a female member as intrinsically having value that's a little bit more precious and rare than that of a male, generally speaking, humanity over. Not that there aren't atrocities and vulnerabilities for females, but a lot of times there's a precedence on female life. I would imagine it been like that back in the time of like the civil rights, but it was bad enough for Rosa Parks also that she had to stand for it. But if you look at some of these transit buses in the modern day, 25 now, the tension between the riders and the basic ridership, but also the cadre and the leadership on the buses, and certain designated minorities, classes of citizen on those buses, especially black male, but even viable black male, a black male that's able-bodied, that can do all the things that are able-bodied, even that you have to use a wheelbarrow for, right? All the good stuff, good to go like that, right? But then you get done talking to them, and now they look like a boy in front of other people. Boys can't do the same thing a grown man can do on all levels. But you just mocked him, dismissed him as a boy, made him look like a boy. And he already looked like a boy before he ever met you in your eyes with your stupid training and your stupid job that you're actually getting dispossessed of your very life force and labor and energy with a lot of these buses and a lot of these jobs, and you think that it's for a better cause, but it is not, because in the modern day we're alienated from the things we do, even our very labor. So whatever you got paid for is what you got paid for it, and that's what that is. And it's not the pat on the back and the respect and the pull in the community doesn't mean jack diddly scorada that, because I had also been a god did the job that thing like that, and it doesn't matter the one they did because I had to be not like that, so it doesn't that guy that did, but I would imagine for you too, even anyway you look at it still don't make that difference about that money, baby. Money, this ain't short money, this ain't money rocket, this money rock and roll. They took my son's money drugs and they want my rock and roll too. Why they do me like that? Why? But I also hit the rock and roll, cause the rock and roll had been more so closer. I ain't seen it last time. I seen it with that ready. That made a lit turn at the ready. And then they thought it was in the high. And then they also thought that they stole away in the hideaway to the horses. But they look right on past the middle, have been there already lit in the air at the body. And I get in there after the little old porter thing, little white porter thing, little old, porter thing with the string like that. And I practically some do I talking that place I seen it and have been right in the guitar and that late in the and I know what people I did hiding in the deck with the out that rock and roll right there like that. And so it's still good to go in there, but I said my guitar to rock and roll. So I had no bus and they figured you just a little boy that got turned up on the little kid, a little boy and bogus like that, how they be like that. But you did see the little thing, my baby there, the boy must still had a rock and roll. So we ought to take the same money drugs and do better not come around here thinking he had no sense of money and better damn no bit of nothing, but he was the one who at that moment I had to get guitar service now, boy, up the road, but that very afternoon, like that, because I just said I like the bass, like the bass strings already sound good enough, rock and roll. I can improvise with it, and it sounds so dope. The people don't even know what I knew, didn't know what the hell I do. But there's the high strings, the high, the EADG, the GBE is a little bit, it's a little bit stringy, it's a little bit slinky, and I need a little bit more firm now because it sounds a little cleaner now. So if you could do me that one like that, it's good to go like that. So he said, too, I mean like that. He said, I'm about to call you back in mid-afternoon, it's good to go like that. But I was on the bus, you know what I'm saying, already on the bus, you know what I'm saying, just trying to get sharp at a little bar, you know what I'm saying, have me a little cocktail, cocktail, you know, the tech the head, the cocktail like that. But then I probably shouldn't have been on there anyway because I needed to have to cough it up and then get a hard time. He said, we already know, damn boy better not be thinking that flying up, even dressed like thinking about, but he didn't have anybody to say the money and be dancer better than they dress. But this boy got this top thing on the back now, boy. But they know he had been in service to be even more fly than you ever knew could be like that, and how it would be about to be about to go like that, how it's, and it's still about to rock and roll. But then he said, but damn, we about to let him get out there with the rock and roll, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm doing the buzz now, he had me a little bit still thinking like, you know what I'm saying? Some of the SUV or my shit like that, and trying to send the oxygen and trying to get falsetto on my bus like that. What do you think he is? And he got the thing, the guitar thing like that. But he didn't think that it was a little bit frenzy because actually up the road getting served to be even more colder like that. He said, damn, boy, I feel like that, boy. Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I need you to turn that down. I like it when you're talking dirty. What I thought I do like when you're talking dirty. Get one more time, get out the bus at the next stop, boy. You know. And I had seen the sign that said, "Damn, you trip off around the driving. That could be 3 years up the road in the okey pokey, but more sure the pokey than the okey, and they ain't all the way good to go to dokey. You know what I'm saying? There's no deal, man. I ain't trying to beat it. You know what I'm saying? So I said, damn, man, I didn't try to put the final with $10,000 in the sign right there. So I said, oh damn, I better get the head out that bus thing before they kick me. Before they already about to try to take my wheelbarrow and my sexy bed that I had in there. But then they about to take my freedom more, and the freedom even more than the day man never I can walk. What you about to do without the freedom, boy? So I got them. I say, y'all so mean. Y'all becoming mean. Each time they have been mean. And I would rather get off the bus and walk than be disrespected. And she said, then good, then walk. So she didn't want me on the bus. I get mad. I did this a few times. This is falsetto time. On the bus time. Well, I gotta work to fit to the bone like that part and be very important and get past on the back sometimes and also give a little bit sparingly pat on the back, but not to the other one that's going up boy. That's going up and that look like a boy, but baby, you know he's happy. The boy not going that man on my time like that boy. Get the hell out the butt, boy. And you know this wicked down the road. You know he said to go ain't good to go wicked. You heard them raps on. Even the old butt ladies on. You heard the raps on. You know how they do the raps on. You know how they do the boy. You didn't know the boy. They don't know the boy. You know how they do the boy like that. So some of the boy try to take to get this. You know he's going down the busy street. Ain't no safe place to walk down the busy street in the daytime. You might as well be in a bus. But she said I don't need you to walk, boy. In a bumpy. I'd rather have you walk. And I go, and I don't give a damn what happened to you, boy. Because I So I said, I'm out of here, man. That's mean time. But it's so mean like that, boy. But so I'm saying it's a conflict of interest. And so sometimes, like, when you have, it's about as tense as you can imagine, like, as you can imagine, like southern Birmingham. So I'm saying not a damn thing changes what I'm saying. I'm saying as the attitudes go and as the aftermath goes, is that, yeah, in the back, right, in the day, you had to sit at the back. You make somebody mad. Now, interesting thing, I was sitting at the front when I had made her that mad. So, was I sitting too far in the front? Was I sitting too far afield to get that mad like that? Interesting. Maybe it ain't all the way good to go to sit in the front of the bus. But I like to sit in the front of the bus because I more so like to be in the flat place, because when I have to get escorted, I'd rather not be in the high seat when I get kicked the hell off or something. So is that something? I was sitting too far in the front. So I'm saying a lot of things haven't changed, but it's a conflict of interest of the thing. And you could really, I had more I wanted to go with this, but I'll try to land it in, is that I think that a lot of American society is that you can overlook the puritanical background of American society and also the genocidal nature of it. And when I say genocide, I don't mean just genociding like bloodlines, but I mean gentrification and genociding livelihood and viability based on equity, whether that be inherited equity or personal conduct and productivity. Disabusing people of their real equity is the name of the game, is the standpoint of the game, is the standpoint of the first foot upon the shore in the U.S. and as the U.S. dream is enjoyable, as American pie is enjoyable, that's still the standpoint. Is it's like that. So you'll notice that I think that the way that gentrification works, it's like a threefold process, right? Somebody has some form of believability, right? In the old days, you would say they'd have authority, but nowadays it's actually more so savvy than that. It's more so like your appeal. Like it can be sex appeal. That'd be the one of the more convincing and more potent, but it's not sex appeal in itself. It's just appeal, because appeal can marshal in and rein in even sex appeal. Just appeal can. Believability, appeal. So what people will do is that they'll approach you, right? Whether there have been some medical professionals, some professionals, some law for anything, they'll approach you. And when they approach you, they have like a believability that they're also very, if you were to actually, like when that lady was giving me a hard time on the bus, she was saying, I need you to turn that down. I needed to turn that down. You can't, I don't know how you can actually tell another person what to do with their body, like in the direct, because you have autonomy over you have bodily autonomy. You have that. So as you're not being violent towards other people and you have music at a low volume, perceptible but still low, I don't know that you can actually, I don't know that you can physically give someone an order, a command over their autonomy if they're a paying customer, because I had actually paid for that ticket. I had just purchased a ticket before I got in there, so I was a paying customer. So she asked me, she said, please, I need you to turn that down. I need you to turn that. Yeah, man, I know you need a lot of things. You probably need a second job if you're being honest, or a job that doesn't make you angry, because you're angry already. That's not healthy. That's the highest status. That's not good like that. That's what I want to tell like that after the fact. I said, that's not good. You need something to make you happy, baby. The music made me happy, baby. But this music don't make you happy, baby. And if music don't make you happy, baby, that might be something you need to talk to somebody about like that. You could talk to me if you, but I don't think you would want to talk to me, but, that didn't sound funny, I thought, but you might want to talk to somebody if even the music make you mad like that, because the music ain't meant to make you mad. It's the rock and roll. It's a good time. It's a good. If anything, the music help you get over the hard time like that. But you giving me a hard time for the music time like that, and it hadn't even been no bad words on that. It's the SUV, it's the R&B thing like that, baby. I practice it that way. I really do. I practice it that way. But then she said. So she said that twice, right? That's but she's escalating. Because she's establishing a pattern when she did that. Then, if she were to say, and it's important that she did a pattern like that. Then, because either I could say it wasn't audible what she said, or just the fact that she would have said one thing one time, that's just like that's a request, a whim. I deny the request. But when she did it 2 times like that, then. Now that it's a pattern, now that's her authority now, because that she asked me, she's another person riding the bus like me. The actual bus driver is just another person riding the bus like you. If you break it down to paper, least common denominator, your reason for being there, your viability being there, you're actually just an operator, and they will let these operators go so damn quick, man. I was actually an operator before on the very company before, and I'm not disgruntled, because I'd rather stay the hell away from transit bus if I can help it. But I was on a long ass, dangerous ass, busy ass street like that, very public. But they let these fools go in training so damn quick with the quickness, man. You had like imagine like somebody from Africa, right? African man has an accent, but also he's been here for a while. He's seasoned like that. Just imagine like a standard traditional African man of practicing faith, right? How he wouldn't appreciate a job like that. How he wouldn't be grateful to be in the country in the first place, but to have a job like that, right? Man, don't you know? And it's funny because he's one of the only people that ever called me religious before, because he was in my training with me. He said, man, you're a religious brother. But I hadn't said anything religious, but he could appreciate in my conduct something about that. And it's strange because I actually abstain from pork, and I in some ways I'm actually observant of faith without proselytizing or claiming faith publicly. But they let him go with the quickness, with the smooth quickness. You're up out of here like that, because I think his phone went off, and he just had a habit of, like, some people, if you haven't been trained, if you haven't experienced real training, your subconscious can get the better of you if you haven't been trained if you haven't had your attention trained. Click. Attention. what the hell's going on here? It's for the moon, sir. I'm just watching the Bears, boy, and I just make sure that they ain't fucking up because make sure they sleep nice and sound, boy. And I'm right here to let you know, yes, sir. So you have your attention trained like that. But if you haven't had that, you can slip up really quickly and do things like inadvertently. So he did that, and he was a goner. He had this new opportunity, changed his life, changed the life of his family, something he meant by it. He was wanting to do well. He was grateful for that. He had to come to a lot to have enough of a clean record to get that job and to be certain, to be hireable, to be trainable, to be in the process of being trained out the door. No questions asked. Ruthless. That's more ruthless actually than death row records. They're actually more ruthless than death row records with them drivers. So them drivers aren't all the way good to go or more of belonging in a job than anyone that would ride the bus if they were to actually mess up around the wrong person like that. But they would more so appreciate that a person of color is not the wrong person to mess up about that. And I'm not trying to claim that title like that. But that's why that'd give you some of the discrepancy in how they treat riders, is that they know that other people can kick up enough of a fuss, and they'll be believable in that fuss like that. So it's kind of like electricity. One time I was in a training, and this guy was like, "Hey man, watch that because electricity takes the path of least resistance." That's actually deeper. That actual smoke, that hatingness of your own job, that hatingness of the society that's been beating people down, including you and your whole life like that. The people that would mean you the least, a self-styled upstart would-be soul type person practicing them RV chop to wop under his breath with the phone is the person you give that smoke to. You wouldn't give it to your superior or the people that really have a conflict of interest with you somewhere. It would actually be the person that means you no harm. That's the path of least resistance like that. So that's a deep thing like that. But then after she said that, she said, if you won't turn that down, I'm gonna need you to get off at the next stop. Now the third time she did that, third time's a charm, but also third time that's the straw that broke the camel's back. Had I stayed on there, now she can call transit authority, and they don't need to hear shit. They just need the code. What did this asshole do, right or wrong? Is the code. Oh, he was resisting my authority. I asked him nicely, and he didn't get off. Your ass in trouble right there. And that, as they say on the bus now, that can be 3 years of practice at the Okie Pokey, the Okie Canal. Or 10,000 cojones, you know, they about to break it 10,000 times or charge it. If you don't want to spend 3 years, we're just gonna need 10,000 cojones. Yeah, I know you only got 2, but we need you to go find another 9,999 and 9,998 cojones plus your own 2 is what we're gonna need. 10,000 cojones, man. And so I only got the 2. I gave back the wheelbarrow. I got the sex backpack now, and I got the rock and roll bag without the rock and roll. But I ain't got 10,000 of the cojones. I got 2. You know, good. You work with the sexy bag. I ain't got 10,000 anymore now. And so so I was up out of there when she said that. But that was actually really mean spirited. And they don't flinch about kicking people off the bus. But there's something of a conflict of interest in that. Like when you have like a society that is inherently and fundamentally disenfranchises people and doesn't have a problem, it treats people different. Wherever you have like preference, that's a form of just simple preference. Is a preference not based on merit, is an actual form of inequity that can amount to and inform any form of, and does inform any form of injustice, have been the preference in the first place. The arbitrary preference, which is also called bias, which is also called preference, favor, in-group favor bias, as the values go. It's not because I'm a little bit fair of complexion, and I'm largely Caucasian. I'm not wholly Caucasian, only Caucasian, but I'm at least half Caucasian. That's largely Caucasian, but I can still get as much smoke as anyone because I more so don't think like as a status quo, because it actually don't matter your ethnicity or race more so it's more your values, and as the status quo is what rules. The value, and it doesn't even need to be the majority. They say majority rules, status quo rules. The majority, and the majority rules, as status quo says what goes. And so, so they really don't make bones about letting people off. But there's something about just a conflict of interest that's at play based on some of the preference and deference and the assumptions. And I think we really lose a lot for assumptions because there's this old saying like, certain ice is colder than other ice. Whoever would sell you that ice, but that's exactly what got things going bad, I think. So But I was thinking that, and so it was actually when they do stuff like that, that's egregious like that, because you can't tell another person what to do with their body directly. There's a sophistication in how they would escalate that and designate that and classify that as the coding goes, as the words are part of the code, the buzzwords. She was saying I need you. I need you. She said that a couple times. That's a certain verbal maneuver she did. But then she said, if you don't, when she said that if word, that's an ultimatum right there. So that's actually a command. So, but by the fact that I would have resist that she was actually browbeating. She was intimidating me the first time. She couldn't out her mouth give me a direct order with my body because I'd be violent, even to budge me an inch as I'm a paying customer and I'm not breaking the law. That would be, you can't do that. But she was laying her influence with the first 2 repetitions like that. Then that's leading up to her authority. Then she said, if you don't, now the if is the ultimatum. So the combination, the conjunction, the sequence of the 2 if statements, the 2 need statements. I need this, I need that. Yeah, baby, yeah, I know that need that, but daddy needed it too. Daddy needed that daddy, because daddy would have the baby from the family, and you ain't got no economic about the family, and you need the foot and the wheelbarrow and the baby and the net. I need my net. I need my net. Daddy needed nothing. Daddy need to get on down the road without a lot of trouble and getting blasted by the cops and look out in the back of the cops and robbers and the regular folks practicing at the range. Everybody else thought I said so. Daddy had a need too. Daddy had a need too, like that too. But I know you got your need too. And it's all right, baby, because we all need certain things, baby. We don't get everything except when it's on Christmas, but it ain't Christmas today. So I know you got your need, baby, but I can get everything you need, but I can be nice to you, baby, because I still love you, baby. Instead of all the people, I still love you. Daddy still love you. But you got your needs and daddy got his needs too. But daddy still found a way to say he love you. Can you say you love me? Can you say you love daddy? Can you say you love daddy? Do you love daddy too? Daddy love you. Do you love daddy too? Oh, you don't let it. Oh, it's so bad. Now I gotta get out there to rock the road. So they ain't gotta walk on down the road now. But then when she said that, so I need, if your ass don't, then your ass out of here. Now when she said that, if that's her authority like that. And so if I would have resisted, if I would have deigned to stay on there, then I could be classified and designated another code that they could take swift in certain action. And they actually, another thing was that they put these signs on the buses that if you interfere with the driver or you obstruct the driver, that can be 3 years of imprisonment and a fine. And that's significant, but it's also significant that they would post that warning because it has to do with how they can prosecute, not something is that you had been warned, because things come with the warning, so that those things are flying like that. So you don't always know the real grounds of your being anywhere, and you would think that it would take a lawyer to know that stuff, but actually it's a little bit, some of it you can suss it out if you use your reasoning. And lawyers aren't smarter than one the other, and they can be as ignorant and entitled, and they can be also short-sighted if they go by the law, because it's also what works and what's common sense. But that wordplay is significant. And sometimes when you see road stops of like brothers getting assassinated like that, I can only imagine how, I hope I never had to imagine how easy it is for that stuff to happen, because it happens in the transit. So these transit, when they're breaking brothers' balls on the transit, that's an actual road, that's a transit stop. So you have a roadside stop, the heinous things that police officers do. Now, these different people, like professionals and like different levels of para law enforcement, these are actual, these are allied professionals, mandated professionals, and actual lesser satellite, but sometimes more potent and formidable officers, law enforcement officers. So what you see when you can see brothers getting beaten on these trains like that is actually the same thing that happens on the road like that. But before cameras on the roads and in the buses, there was no accountability. So that's the same damn thing you would have had in Alabama, in Birmingham, likely, but hellfied ratchet more. God bless Rosa Parks. Thank God Rosa Parks, what we have now. But it's still actually the exact same thing, the exact same dynamic, and some of the same consequences. And I seen a brother, they actually got the brother to snap. A couple weeks ago, I seen a brother snap, because like there's some things that human beings have an instinct about. A mother has instincts about her children's safety. That will bring out a bear. Will take instincts around the safety of children would take a mother to a bear. Instincts around ambushing a man. If you surround a man, if you run up, if you surprise a man, but also with numbers, and that suggests like intelligence and like planning, that will irk out more than a lion out of a man. An ambush will do that. So I seen a brother snap on an ambush like that, and it's like at that time there was like a pretty female and another brother like that. I was more so entertaining the pretty female because she came by me, and she was like she was cool with me. But some professions ain't all the way good to go cool. So, but we need all professions. So I ain't judging nobody, not the drivers, not the enforcement. But some parts of the training ain't all the way good to go or humane or ethical. But the other brother was like me. It was like three of us brothers. Me, the brother that lost his cool, and then the brother that was holding him to account for his ticket. And he snapped at that brother, like calling him like he was calling him like a sellout or a traitor for being down with the being down and the get down about shaking brothers down. But it's a deeper thing, is that they're trained to, and their want means like in the habit of busting brothers' chops publicly, make a mockery of you publicly. Fellow passengers will do it a little bit, like make you explain yourself, ask you questions like they're entitled to know about you, or even if you give them engagement, just dismiss you and mock you like that. Customers will do that, but then the drivers will do that, and the transit authorities will do that. So what you're seeing on these buses is a moving, mobile, public roadside stop. But instead of them like taking away your car, they're just kicking you out the bus like that. But it's actually the same thing going on, and it's as bad as like with Rosa Parks. But the thing that's a little bit misleading about Rosa Parks and civil rights is that what Rosa Parks did, actually, the greater feat of what she did is that she used their tactics against them, because boycotting is not unique to the civil rights. Boycotting is actually more, when you're saying racism, bigotry, prejudice, Jim Crow, slavery, sharecropping, modern day indentured digital wage labor slavery, all that. What you're actually saying is a sophisticated boycotting structure. It goes all the way down, professional, social, legal, all levels. It's an actual boycotting apparatus. Is that you're not with the status quo, so your ass is out in the cold if it comes to that. You're out the bus if it comes to that. That bus driver actually just boycotted me there. So I was practicing R&B vibes, the chop, the wop, the doo-wop on the bus. But I might have been a little bit out of pocket like that, if I'm honest. But because it ain't always good. You don't always know what's good to go. But if you got bags on you, you're less good to go. But actually, that was a reverse boycotting. So rather than me boycott the bus before I got a chance to, she boycotted me being there. Hey man, I need you to get out of here. But then when I left out, I'm like, man, y'all are mean, man. And it's mean how y'all did that. But I'd rather walk than be disrespected. Hey, good, get the hell out. Good. I just actually got reverse boycotted like that. But she wasn't the first one to do that. But also on the flip side, neither was Rosa Parks the first one to boycott something. But she actually used their own tactics against them, because the whole thing had been boycotted like that. But then a better way to say it, so another way to say boycott would be gentrification, genocide, imperialism, like that. And so what that means is that you approach somebody on a little bit shaky ground. You're believable. You have the social proof, the report, the productivity, the viability, and the service, the usefulness to a community. No more, no less than a useful idiot is what most of us are. Even the commander-in-chief, to many people, he's nothing more than a useful idiot, if that. But most people are useful idiots, if that. But when they're serving the status quo, they're more useful, and they're viable like that. And it can even be sex money like that. Sex money, drugs, rock and roll, another word for status quo, unless it's about the real thing. And so and the real thing can also be used for the status quo. But so what they'll do is they'll approach you on shaky grounds, iffy grounds. It's a combination of arbitrariness in their appearance, their credentials, their backgrounds, their statements, their authority, their auspices, their capability, their competence, their incompetence, their viability of standing on any particular ground at any time. A lot of times when people engage you, they're already egregious on a lot of levels. Even these very buses, they're already egregious in the first place, because this is usurped land. It still hasn't been procured ethically and humanely, and it will suffer more rotting atrocities based on the injustice that's a part of that. You didn't redress how you actually came to be here. So a lot of things are ill-gotten. I always be so much to say that the American pie, the American dream, is actually ill-gotten. So a lot of things that we enjoy is just the enjoyment of something that's ill-gotten. It may not last any longer or have any better of an outcome at the end. It's something that had been ill-gotten, because the way it starts is the way it ends. And it has started ill-gotten, so it may end ill-gotten like that. But as it's existing, and as we're still doing the best we can with that, and one by one the other, within and through that, to transcend that, we do have some equity and productivity that comes from that, based on our ethics and our congruent comportment and demeanor and care and service towards one the other. And we still get disabused of that in what could be called gentrification, imperialism, chauvinism, status quo, what it amounts to is that shaky, iffy background, iffy credentials, iffy presentation, but still believable, but iffy. Then you introduce doubt. I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. And did you see what that? Yeah. What about that? So then the next step. So the first thing is the shaky credentials. Then is the doubt. Then on top of that is the judgment. That is no. We're gonna have to see about that. That was wrong right there. Our ass is also wrong for standing on this usurped land and genocide, murder, mayhem, mischief, rob, rape, pillage, plunder, all that. Yeah, that's us bogus too. But we've thought about that and we've made statements about that and we have conversations at Thanksgiving about that. And so that's one thing. But what there is wrong. So we're gonna have to see about that right now. That's the judgment part of that. Then the next part about that is, yeah, people do actually see about that because you're believable as the status quo, as you're believable. Now somebody's gone. Now there's ghosts like that. And now there's nothing left but to enjoy more ill-gotten gains like that. So if you listen to like a lot of the socializing in America, the activities that people do, the thought process, the conversation, the humor, I'll even go so far as to say near about the love making, baby. It's that thing of the shaky presentation, doubt, judgment, condemnation. The condemnation is I'm saying that together with judgment, but it's shaky ground, doubt. The doubt super transcends into judgment, which transcends into contempt, which transcends into condemning, and then it's condemned like that. People are no longer there. Now you can enjoy what had been theirs, whether equitably theirs or not likely equitably. Now you can equitably enjoy what had been equitably someone else's by dispossessing of them in that little process like that. And that's what goes on a lot of levels, like on the society, and including the very socializing. So if you actually listen to people's conversation, anything they're talking about, anyone they're talking about, it's in some stage of that transition like that. And people aren't, the thing that people get wrong is that people would say that Americans are bogus like that. A lot of times people say the word white, but they don't know what they're meaning. When you're saying white, you're saying a sovereign person and a statute, a vote-worthy a person who can vote. When you're saying white, you're saying a propertied person. That used to anger even white women back in the day because they wouldn't all the way be considered white by that standard. Women would not be. And if you go back in the day, like my mother's from the older generation, a lot of them, my mother was like from a well-to-do area. Her family was sturdy, well-respected as far as I can tell. She's been well-respected as far as I can tell, but she has some real deep-seated anger towards white males and my own. I could see that a lot of times, that my mother would have anger, and I think it's an older thing about what it does to what people know about how bogus it gets when you're outside of the standard of privilege that had been being a white person, that is a voting person, or having property like that. Because anything else can be mocked. You can be Caucasian Anglo, but if you didn't have property back in the day, you would be a lesser Anglo. And it's still, there's something viable about playing your ego off of other people, because that helps divide and conquer. But on the realest sense, the real baseball of it, the real gumbo is that you're not all the way enjoying the best of things or having the real stature that you fancy, unless you're having full stature privilege. That's what it means to be white. But according to Tashreeq Bey, and then colored would be like the opposite of that. It's an alienable person outside of a nation that's doing business outside of their nation or on grounds without the support of a nation. So when you say someone black, colored, things like that, you're actually relegating them to an alienable status outside of their nation, and also that you can push around like that. That's what's being communicated. But because of the history of that, America is so steep in pure. I haven't looked into it, but I think this stems from the puritanical background of the United States. And according to Tashreeq Bey, a lot of the former atrocities of the church, they were about economics. So they would have a lot of women who would inherit a lot. Like it has to do with dowries. The church, they've always been interested in women. You think that the church is interested in children? Like is the atrocities that we hear about, like the famous atrocities around churches, would have to do with children. But more than that, it actually has to do with women. Is that the church is very interested in women. Like I remember when I used to go to church, like even sometimes the black church, tell me what's a black life worth? A bottle of juice to no excuse the truth hurts. Yeah, tell me what's a black woman's life worth compared to a black man's life worth, or just a woman compared to a man or a black man. Is like that. But the church has an interest in women particularly. They've always been, you show up to church, like you can be anyone, reformed, saint, this and that. Yeah, you might have some viability as a man, that you might have some usefulness in bringing other men and their women and their women as a man. That's about the more value you would have to a church. But church are interested in women. But prior to that, women had a lot of bounty, like not only their body, which is a bounty par X. There's actually no greater bounty than the body of a woman, because all things are possible or not possible because of the body of a woman. If you really break that down, we don't have no viability in families around rearing young, but also we don't have nothing of health or nothing worth achieving health for outside of the bounty of a woman's body, male or female, gay or straight, anything, anyone, anyhow. We derive value from women
their body first, but also women, and the different respect and favor, and that they command by their essence, their beauty. But then, so the church, they would have been like, I think like some of the atrocities in the Americas, like in the Caribbean, they would have like gold. They had to do with gold. Like they would, first of all, they'd be doing, I imagine that when they did a lot of women wrong in Europe, like with the witch trials, some of that had to do with finance. These women would have been having finance, and the church was after that. They were after that. It was about money. Money's the root of all evil. Money's even the root of the devil and the church. Is still money at the bottom line, like that. And what church do you know that's bigger than money? So you go to the cool church, right? Can you sit through a whole service and not have them bring up money to you? As much money as they've had, the church already has more money than anyone anyhow. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, man, that's kiddo stuff, man. That's child's play compared to what you don't know about, that you don't be known about, that you ain't up on. That they also are, that if they were honest and they broke down where they got their stuff from, it probably would have came from them circles like that. But they were getting that a lot from women. Currently, women, and I'm not just saying that they're after women in the church because of their body alone, but because women they're the main consumers, but they're also the main patrons of like a church. So you can be a music like I am, but you ain't getting on nowhere until the women are supporting you. You're not getting on with the men truly, or the women truly, or the children truly, no matter what kind of artist you are, unless the women are with you like that. Then, unless you're believable, you're a viable, attractive person to the opposite sex. I think whether or not that's your orientation, you're viable to the opposite sex like that. Then now you're good to go like that. But so women are the patrons of industry, business, but also charity and the church itself. And the church is and the government, like voting, this and that. Because the voting, that brings out the bad mamas to come participate in the voting and see about you and survey about this and participate in this and that. So even the political stuff, it ain't getting on nowhere without the women be down with that. And but also the church still run all that, and the church is interested in the women, the money that they bring, the love they bring, the favor, the esteem, the joy they bring. But then also back in the day, they were probably been getting over on the females in Europe, like with the witches. And then in the Caribbean, according to Tashrik Bay, these women they used to have gold like seared. I'm not sure how they did it, but they would sear the dowry of the woman onto the woman, so the woman would have gold on them. And so that would be some of the atrocities of the church, was confiscating that gold. And I read a book recently that said that all the gold that had been mined, like say the 1849 gold rush. I read a book called the National Geographic. It's a book that tells you about everything. And they were saying in there that I don't want to quote it roughly and get the video compromised, but it was saying that if you had a box that was this many feet by this many other feet, less than 100, not more than 50, that many feet by that many feet by that many feet, cubic feet, less than 100, but not more than 50. That's all the gold that's ever been mined right there. But some of that would have been actually in the Caribbean, in the Americas. These native women, they would be having gold like that, and the church was at that back in the day. So I guess I'll end that there, because I was a little bit losing the train of thought. So these are just some talking points, and I'm not even trying to be like all about like this type of stuff, because I woke up today on the player side of the bed, and I was trying to get on the player time, but it hadn't gone down like that, and I just wanted to speak truth to power like that. But what I was also saying is that when people give people a hard time, like say Americans this and that, Americans are so this, white people are so this, what you're really saying is that the training is what's the problem. They're rearing in these schools that reinforce that modus operandi, which hadn't changed, which is still the displacement, gentrification, condemnation. That's the name of the game, condemnation. America, they actually overwhelmed the native population by condemning them. There's a combination of divide and conquer, but condemning them. And so that's what I was saying also with when people aren't all the way white. They may be Anglo, Caucasian, different people of European background in the Americas. All people of all European backgrounds have not always got to be white. White is like, it's kind of like rich. Everybody has money, but everybody isn't rich. And everybody suffers different forms of poverty and lack of stature, other than the rich of the rich. And even the rich of the rich, they kind of injure themselves because they don't get some of the hard knocks. But just because you're Anglo or European doesn't mean that you're rich. But also in the past didn't mean that you're white. White meant that you can vote, and you're entitled, therefore you have a say, and you're believable, and you're entitled to property. Most of the things you enjoy in your life are some function of leverage. All your dealings with people in life, they're viable based on the viability and believability of the leverage in that dynamic. But that leverage is more so fixed and sustained. The unit of leverage, the objectivity of leverage. The subjectivity is important too, and it can amount to objectivity. But the objectivity of leverage is assets, plain and simple. That is property, means of production, means of forwarding yourself, means of surviving, means of winning, so that's been the name of the game. And so the way that operates, it comes along condemnation. It's came up to, it's seized, it's enjoyed, it's propagated, it's confiscated, it's deleted, it's procured, it's conceived, it's engendered, it's conspired by condemnation. That most people conversations condemnation. So sometimes I could walk in places and I'll practice humor, and I'll say some slick ass stuff out of my mouth, but that actually isn't good to go, and it's not actually enjoyable to people, because what's more enjoyable is condemnation, humor within condemnation, not just humor by itself. But it's a lot about condemnation. But people are steeped in this, they're reared in this, they think like that, they talk like that, they love like that, they fight like that, they die like that, they're born like that. But that doesn't mean that's what they are. That's what the training is, because that's what the history is. So sometimes people can get it twisted when they say, most things are, there's two sides to anything, even two sides to racism. So racism, it ain't good to go when it's pointed at Caucasian people, at people of indigenous people of color, or people on any spectrum of that. None of that, and all people suffer that. But none of that's good. But what people can misunderstand is that when you say that the training, the education, the history, a lot of the culture is about property, and therefore it's white. It's about whiteness. That's that. But if you look at human beings if you look at white as actually being a reality, that is a problem. That will amount to a problem, misunderstanding, which is a problem. But also, if you look at human beings as that, less than that, the same as that, that's a problem too. And that's how people can be confounded, because sometimes the people that will give you the real soul, the real love, the real support, the real fire save. I had met a Norse brother that gave me some clothes and taught me what the word fire save is, and was himself a fire save. That can exactly be someone Anglo, Caucasian, European, African, Afrocentric, any person, any background can be the blessing you need, the love you need, the support you need, the friend you need, the foe you need, everything you need. But when you look at people as their training, or they classify them that way, that's where some of the ambivalence comes from, and that's where the friction comes from. So I just wanted to point some of these talking points out. But anyone watching this, you're beautiful, I'm beautiful, we're beautiful, all are beautiful, because all are one, yet all are different and free to choose. And thereby come back to being one, and yet again choose again and be different again and come back to again. That's all I'm saying with this one. And this is just food for thought like that. Peace out.